Welcome to a deeper conversation. This conversation grew out of the word connection. We actually talked about connection twice, almost a year apart. What fascinated me was that his answer hardly changed. While most people answered the question by telling me about a relationship, a memory, or a feeling, he didn't. He answered with a model. He is an organizational psychologist who spent decades studying what motivates people. He believes there are three core human motivations: a sense of control, connection, and self-esteem. Rather than seeing connection as a feeling by itself, he sees it as one part of a system that shapes nearly everything we do. At first, I wondered if we were even talking about the same thing, but the longer we talked, the more I realized he wasn't avoiding the question. He was answering the same way he approaches every question, by looking for the underlying pattern.
Well, yeah, I mean, it doesn't evoke any kind of anything in me, any kind of feelings in me. It's just, it's part of the model of behavior that I have, which is that we'll have a need for sense of control, which is by far and away the most powerful motive for people. But part of that, what motivates people is people also have a need to connect. And sometimes that's connecting with other people, and sometimes that's connecting with like pets or whatever, so for extroverts need to connect with lots of people, which doesn't really necessarily mean connect. It means interact or something. But sometimes they're both, dealing with their own stuff and they're not hearing the other person. And that's not connection by any stretch of the imagination. That's just interaction. So interaction is very different than connection. And then the third element of motivation is self-esteem. And people do things that they feel good about, makes them feel good about themselves. They hang out with people who make them feel good. And that's the basis for lots of interpersonal interactions and groups. If you think about religion gives people a sense of control because, they think they've got a direct line to God or some other supernatural being. They're hanging out with people who have the same beliefs that they do. So they are connected with those people or interact with them. And because every religion tells you that it's the only religion, that it's the true religion, it's the right religion, then it's good for their self-esteem because they're one of the chosen, they're one of the few. And again, it has to do with meeting those needs. What I find interesting, the same is true for gangs. Yeah. So gangs give people a sense of control because I'm sure your son at some point or another is a form of West Side Story.
Yes.
So well, you're a jet all the way, and it gives you essentially in the song, it says they've got your back. You're there. You're one of them. So, and obviously the Jets are the best. So it's self-esteem, it's sense of control, and it's connection. So prison gangs, KKK, Nazis, whatever it is, it all gives you the exact same
belonging, connected feeling.
Yeah, connection and sense of control and self-esteem or, supremacy or whatever. So going back to your question about connection, do I think that all people are connected like on some spiritual plane? Then I'd say no. But I think on a physics perspective, quantum physics, it says that like a particle millions of light years away instantly interacts with another particle. So we might be connected on a quantum physics place, but I don't think it on any other level. In terms of people connecting, I think most people are so self-absorbed. They're in interactions to get their needs met and sometimes to meet another person's needs. But I think way too many people, instead of listening for understanding and truly connecting with the person, they're listening for rebuttal. And so again, I don't think people ever get to know each other well enough. I don't think most people get to know each other well enough to be truly connected. But there are people that do that, and there are relationships and couples that have so much in common that they finish each other's sentences. They think about things the exact same way. And I've had people in my life that I've known that I've felt connected to and still feel connected to. So
how about in the psychology world? Because that's what you do.
Yeah.
The mind and body and heart all connect. You don't have emotion unless you have the thought first.
Yeah.
So I just think that's interesting how that's connected too into action.
Yeah, well, yeah, and again, you point to your chest when you say your heart, big heart. That's really your mind, But yeah, and I think those connections and the people we truly connect with, which is rare. I think those are, we value those people highly but partly because we have so much in common with them. So they validate us. So it's a really interesting conundrum.
As I've studied it this week, it's like, yeah, you're looking for something the same with somebody. Yeah. Like even when I went to Puerto Rico, like all of a sudden I felt connected to Americans that I never would have talked to probably here.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting how you kind of what you're looking for.
Yeah, when you have a common language or when you go through, or people go through disaster and they bond with people forever because they've experienced trauma together that nobody else can understand.
Yes.
So that builds, again, connection is a spectrum. There's extraordinarily connected and then there's a little bit connected. On those continuums, I think the thing that makes it the strongest is emotion. Traumatic events cause high emotion. So,
Orphaness.
Traumatic. Yes. And so events that trigger a lot of adrenaline, which can be extraordinarily positive events or painful events or surprise events or whatever. I think all of those kind of things that activate your body and your brain, dump stress chemicals in your bloodstream. And again, stress chemicals are dumped in your bloodstream by any kind of change, whether it's positive change or negative change. So it doesn't matter whether it's a divorce or a wedding or a death or a birth, those things are all emotion and they're change and those stress chemicals cause things to be imprinted in your brain.
And they feel the same, but we name it differently.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the stress chemical.
After our first conversation, he sent me the model he'd been developing for years. That's when I realized our conversation about connection was really part of something much bigger. Connection was one of those 3 needs he believes drives human behavior. I wanted to understand the rest of the picture, so I asked if we could sit down again and talk about that model.
The most important thing is sense of control. I mean, by far and away, that's the biggest
for everybody.
For everybody. Because if you stop and think about it, when your control is taken away, the things that take away control are death, divorce, loss of a loved one, job loss, any other kind of insecurity, whatever. Your stress levels go through the roof. That's what causes stress is lost sense of control. So that's our number one need is we adjust our lives so that we feel like what we do affects the outcomes that we're going to get. Mm-hmm. So that's just kind of a part of sense control, but kind of the core issue. The other 2 things that motivate people are connection. We need to be, even the most introverted hermit out in the mountains, it needs to connect to something, whether it's a pet squirrel or a pet bear or
nature.
Yeah. Well, but usually some living being, so whether, my brother was connected to his little black dog, and he completely fell apart when he lost it. And then the third thing is self-esteem, self-image. We do things to protect that. So we have a picture in our head of who we are. There's stories behind where that came from. So if you think of yourself as an intellectual, then you're going to do intellectual kinds of things. If you think of yourself as artistic, you're going to do those kinds of things. If you think of yourself as a scientist, you're going to do, you're going to be curious. So we have things that are about our core, about who we believe ourselves to be and who we want to portray ourselves to be in the world. But more importantly than the world, we really have a view of who we were. And I don't know if I told you before, when I was a kid, when I was young, a child and teenager, my brother made my life hell because I was overweight. And yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever, there was a science fiction movie called The Blob, way back, way before your time, but it was called The Blob. And it was like this amorphous, whatever thing that absorbed people and, whatever. Okay, no. The Blob is scary. So it was like a big thing of Jell-O that moved,
Okay.
Or like Jabba the Hutt or,
Yeah.
But anyway. So, I'd go out to play with the neighborhood kids. Oh, here comes the Blob. And, made my life. So the good news is I spent an incredible amount of time being lost in books. And I used to read, when I was in junior high, there was the lending library across the street from my junior high. And I used to go over there. They charged, again, this olden days, they charged 3 cents a day to rent a book. So I'd go over there and get like Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew or those, those kind of books. And then take it home, read it that night, take it back the next day, give my 3 cents, get the next book. So I've read tens of thousands of books in my life. I used to read this back when they had encyclopedias. Everybody had an encyclopedia in the house. I read this encyclopedia cover to cover. So I became, that's why I'm a doctor.
Right.
So, and then at some point when I got into my late teens, early 20s, I learned to control appetite. I learned to control eating. I learned to exercise. I learned to be happy.
You learned at a young age all these things.
Yeah. And my brother didn't.
Yeah.
And now he and I are the same height. He weighs twice as much as I weigh.
But you don't call him the blob.
I don't. I occasionally poke fun at things for being fat. Sorry, karma.
Sorry.
But anyway, so again, self-esteem, self-image, drive a lot of human behavior, and connection is probably the next biggest driver, and the biggest driver is sense of control and needing to do things. So that's why we go to school, to learn things, to give us job opportunities, to learning things. Knowledge gives you sense of control because you understand how stuff works. And if you understand how stuff works, you understand how to fix stuff when it goes wrong. This other model, this 3-part model, I've developed over the years as part of my research on leadership.
Okay.
And because I did my dissertation on trust I got my dissertation, I earned my PhD in 1982.
Okay.
And then since then, I do a lot of research on leadership because I'm an organization psychologist. And then I kind of came up with, there were a couple other motivation models out there, and it's like, okay, that's not quite right. So that's when I came up with the 3 elements for mine, and it's okay, this works, and this makes sense. And the other thing is I've done some leadership training forever and ever, like a particular workshop, and I always open it with, tell me about the behaviors of the best supervisor you've ever worked for. What did they do that made them the best supervisor? And then conversely, tell me about the most miserable son of a bitch you've ever worked for, and what they did that made them that. And so at some point I have like this good bad list of here's what good leaders do, here's what ineffective leaders do, or they're not really leaders. And if you look at the behaviors, like they communicate, they give information, they empower people, they make sure people are fully informed, they help people develop skills that they didn't know they had. They provide a safe environment for people to learn new things and do stretch assignments and again, for people to grow. So all of the things on the good leaders do either enhance your sense of control, because again, information, knowledge, learning, all those things, help you grow and be more capable. And that gives you more of a sense of control. The fact that they listen to you, the fact that they involve you in decision-making, the fact that all these other things enhance your self-control, that's also good for your self-esteem and self-image, because it's telling you that they value you.
Yeah, it feels like connection too.
And so all the things on the behaviors that the good, effective leaders do add to 1, 2, or all 3 of them, many of them to all 3 of those variables. And on the other side, like micromanagers, people who want to cut you, people who badmouth you, people who berate you, people who make you destroy your sense of control. And obviously, and obviously there's no connection with them. Yeah. Or they don't talk to people you work with, so they don't even want you to even connect with the people that are around you. So again, and when I retire, I wrote a book about that 20 years ago. I had an agent in New York that thought she could sell it. And she tried a bunch of places, and they came back and said, well, we really like the book and the concept, but he's not a big enough name. It's not just some psychologist in Utah. Yeah. Well, now I'm the ex-chief learning officer of the United States National Science Foundation, which is,
there's your name.
But even if I can't find a publisher, I'm going to self-publish it. So
I think it's great that we can do that.
Yeah, I'm going to do some revisions to it.
We'll tell the world on here. Yep. All right, what's the name of the book?
Back then, it was No Magic Words. The art and science of being an effective leader. It's not magic. It's these 3 things. But I'm going to change that. I rethink it. We'll
keep up with it.
Well, I'll give you a copy of it when I publish it.
Okay. So any last things on connection?
No.
What are you connected to most? I mean, I know you're here in Utah. You live in where?
Maryland.
No, I'm sorry, I mess that up every time.
I mean, what I was connected to was my job, my work, my team. It's all gone now.
So yourself.
Yeah.
What I appreciated most about this conversation is that he didn't ask me to think differently about one relationship. He asked me to think differently about human behavior. Most of us think connection is something that we either have or we don't. He challenged that idea. He sees it as one of our deepest human needs, existing on a spectrum and interacting with our need for control and our sense of who we are. Whether you agree with every part of his model or not, I think it offers an interesting question to carry with us. If people are motivated by those three needs, what might we understand differently about the people around us and about ourselves? Thank you for your story, and thank you for spending this time with us. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep exploring the words that shape your world.